It's surprising to me to hear that many of the games from my childhood were either long forgotten about or not appreciated for what they were. I know I've talked on this subject multiple times, and I know that survival horror is one of my favorite genres, but trust me when I say that this is a completely different experience. Cold Fear was a game that I was personally too scared to try as a kid. If you've been an avid follower of this channel, you'll know that I was too scared to play Resident Evil on PS1, so I always watched my older brother Dylan play it. I would often feel helpless just by watching him play, and that alone was an exciting feeling for me in video games. A lot of people I know don't even remember this game. In fact, a lot of people who have reviewed the game on Steam, at least judging by how they word their reviews, haven't really heard of it prior to it coming out on PC. I know this isn't the case for everyone. If you're like me, chances are we have both seen Cold Fear before. But I'd like to dive a little further into why I love this game and why I feel like a sequel or remake should basically be mandatory at this point. Because this game does deserve it, by a long shot. I'm not kidding when I say it's got to be one of the most underrated survival horror games to exist. It starts off as a simple job, as it always does. We're introduced to our main character, Tom Hansen, who certainly is no Leon Kennedy or Chris Redfield or anything like that. Tom is a Coast Guard and under-equipped with no real experience as to how to deal with situations like these. You know, it's not every day you board a Russian boat, then get attacked by giant fucking worm things and people swinging cleavers at your face. Jokes aside, it's a solid game. The storyline is actually pretty expansive, offering two different segments, much like traveling from the village in Resident Evil 4 to the island. For the first half of the game, it's all about finding out what happened on the ship. For the second half, you arrive to a barely standing rusted oil drill full of trouble around every corner. There's a few cliches from other games thrown into here, and bear with me because I know the game has flaws, and if you've already played it, you're aware of them. But really quick, I just want to talk about what I loved about Cold Fear, because it outweighs the bad for me. The gunplay can be wonky at times, but it feels very familiar, with almost every gun containing a mounted laser sight which acts as the aiming reticle for the player. Many people say that this was just copy and pasted from Resident Evil 4, but I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. It feels familiar and fluent for the most part, and adds to the claustrophobia you'll encounter many times while playing. The environment, if you consider this giant rusted fucking boat an environment, is fantastic. Yes, I know this doesn't look nearly as appealing as it used to back on PlayStation 2, but I think AVGN said it best. Good graphics don't always make a good game. The boat is constantly shifting with the horrendous amount of deadly waves crashing into it. Even the bodies will move with the flow of the ship's vessel as it slowly rocks back and forth. For 2005, I'd like to think that's pretty damn impressive. The sound is also really nice, with the music often just amping up when you're faced with multiple foes, and it's just fucking awesome. Whoever designed this soundtrack, you deserve some sort of praise because I find myself rocking out whenever I fight the Exocels. God, is that fucking awesome or what? Quick note, I never noticed this before, but there's a hilarious animation that I think is rare. I discovered it after shooting the head off of an Exocel. He comedically searches for his head as if completely unaware I just blew it the fuck up. How did I not notice this as a kid? Oh, right, I forgot to mention the Exocels. The main enemy you'll be facing here are the Exocels, the zombie-human hybrids that attack on sight. Sometimes they move slowly, which is intimidating. Being on board the ship for the first half of the game, you start to pick up more and more on the gameplay style. Certain rooms are assigned to a fixed camera angle, much like the original Resident Evil games. This adds to the tension, and can often scare the player when an Exocel asshole comes lunging at you out of nowhere. Ugh! Like this fucking guy. Get the fuck away from me, you piece of shit! Ugh. Oh, thank God, I've somehow got him. While this specific mechanic isn't perfected like it was in the Resident Evil franchise, I can definitely appreciate the charm behind it. Enemies in this game all feature different tactics too. You can't always unload an entire magazine into one of them. Some enemies, like the Exo Shade, are more related to a dog type of mutation, with this monster climbing the walls, ceilings, and running at immense speeds. The easiest way to take them down is to use the shotgun. Or, like this, you get stuck in a QTE sequence where you have to mash the E button and then quickly click your mouse in order to blow its fucking head off. It's redundant and it happens a little too often for me, but other than that, they're a pretty cool enemy. There's also an enemy later on that cloaks itself entirely, called the Exo Spectre. This makes it very difficult to persevere at times. Not being able to see the enemy is scary in its own right, but so long as you look for their footprints, you'll have no problem killing them. Then you have the Exo Masses, which are basically chargers from Left 4 Dead 2. They're bigger than the other Exocels and require a lot more gunfire to finish off completely. I highly recommend getting some distance between you and them. You also have those annoying fucking nests that can only be destroyed by the flamethrower. You're gonna want to get rid of these disgusting blobs fast, or else they'll endlessly spawn the worms. Throughout Hansen's journey, you'll also discover all sorts of documents that help involve you more in the story, and even give you hints as to where to go. Some of them contain lore behind the Exocels, which is really surprising for a 2005 game. They really put a lot of effort into the story, and although it's a bit janky and cheesy with its writing at times, it's a fun ride through and through. Tom's character is actually very well done. He drops some really great lines in this game, and some cheesy ones, but Resident Evil 4 contained much of the same formula, and that game worked. And I think it does here too.
What the hell is that?
Bennett, out.
Great. Just great.
We got a fast satellite look through the cloud cover and pinpointed it.
Must be nice. I'm on my way.
Tom even gives audible hints to the player, letting you know if you're going the wrong way or the right way. It's actually really cool.
This looks like the wrong way. Haven't tried that door yet. It's unlocked.
I just have to show some of my favorite quotes from Tom because some of them had me legitimately laughing.
Oh, crap. We're gonna hit the platform, aren't we?
That will make jumping easier, won't it?
You're out of your mind, woman!
Listen, Hansen, I've got some bad news for you.
Great. What is it now?
We've known about that oil rig for a while. It's got some sort of radio fuzzer on it. No transmissions in or out except in a very tight window that we can't get into.
Which means?
Which means that until you take care of that jamming device, I won't be able to help you.
I'm heartbroken.
I'm serious, Hansen. The only way you get off that rig is if I help you, and I can't help you unless I can talk to you. So once you get on board, you smash that jammer, you got it?
Sorry, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Hansen! Hansen!
Just kidding. Smash the jammer. Got it.
Why is he acting like a 5-year-old all of a sudden?
It has retinal scanner locks, and only an Ichenko can open it.
Then I guess I'll just have to ask him to open it for me.
Oh, that's right, Hansen. You get your girlfriend shot, not eaten by monsters.
Back off, Bennett.
Whatever you say. What's next?
Nothing. I'm pulling the plug.
Don't try to be funny, Hansen.
Hey, according to you, that file is all you really need.
You listen good, Hansen. You get that uplink working right now. I want that data.
You want the rest of this? Come get it yourself.
Now, I want to say that this game has obviously been out for quite some time, and I was genuinely curious as to why there never truly was a sequel to Cold Fear. Well, I did some research, and after looking into it, I discovered a few things. According to Google, this was Ubisoft's very first horror game. Technically, it was developed by a company known as Darkworks, but Ubisoft produced it. Darkworks, a company that apparently only made 2 games, Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, and Cold Fear. Wow, only 2 games? That's really surprising considering what they've presented in their lineup. Anyways, Darkworks was founded in 1998 by Antoine Villette and Guillaume Gorod. God, guys, I'm sorry. In October 2011, with only 100 employees on staff, the studio was placed into compulsory liquidation and unfortunately closed. Sad news for a company that didn't get to go too far. They also used to have a website at darkworks.com, but this simply takes you to a non-existent GoDaddy page now. I tried my hardest to find out why there were never any sequels or anything from this company, but I guess the answer is short and simple. The company just had to go kaput, and there was no stopping it. It often makes me wonder if anyone would even remotely remember this game enough to make a sequel, let alone do some sort of remaster or remake. Don't get me wrong, I'm definitely not mad at the idea. I just think I've touched on this subject before about getting your hopes higher than they need to be, and I don't need to say anymore. Surprisingly, I've noticed a lot of people complain about this game. While I do love the game in every aspect, there's obviously the aspects you don't love. I'm aware the game has many flaws to it. For example, the biggest one is the fact that there's no in-game map. No in-game HUD either, besides your ammo and weapon icons. You also have your life bar on the left below your resistance bar. Don't know why they couldn't just call it stamina, but okay. Without a map screen, you're gonna get lost. A lot. This is definitely a game that either requires you to know it inside out like me, a deadbeat, or you could watch video walkthroughs, but that ruins the scare element for me. I like being able to figure out what I'm supposed to do and finding new keys to new doors, but this process is definitely a headache and a half. Another issue is the camera. The fixed angles do look really good, but sometimes the tank controls will kick in at weird moments and you'll end up walking back and forth like a fucking idiot trying to get to the next screen. Oh no, Thomas, turn around and fight! It's It's like, Jesus, pick one camera view or the other. Thankfully, at least for me, this is only a brief problem. What's not a brief problem is the amount of enemies that can get all up in your fucking face, constantly swinging their machetes and shit with no rhyme or reason. Like this room I had mentioned before, I had zero time to react before this rotten-faced dick shit started swinging at me. So I did what any self-respecting American would do. My biggest gripe with the game is the non-existent save system. Sure, you can save your game, but only at certain set key moments in the story. This is both handy and frustrating. It's handy because it means that if you fucked up and used too much ammunition at one part, or even if you get lost on your way, you can just reload your game if you're not too far and try something different. However, it's frustrating as well because you could make it all the way to the very end of a chapter, but if one thing kills you, it's all the way back to the beginning of the fucking save. This was a unique mechanic when introduced by the Resident Evil series, but this was 2005. Autosave isn't meant to be designed for a checkpoint system. It should be available at any time to the player. I guess my only defense for this is always be prepared to lose at least a few times. Although the story definitely takes some odd turns at points, I don't think it has any major problems here. Sure, the voice acting is cheesy and kinda ew at a few moments, but like I said before, I can appreciate what they were going for.
Someday, I promise, you will understand.
The story revolves around Tom Hansen discovering what happened to the ship and all of its infected inhabitants, all the while being guided by a CIA agent named Bennett, who is honestly a pretty cool character without a face.
Hansen, talk to me.
I'm here.
Have you located the notes?
Screw the notes. Those things just infected Anna.
Don't do anything stupid, Hansen. There's nothing you can do.
Then you have Anna, who is just plot fuel, basically. Her father is one of the main researchers for the Exocels, and just like a Hollywood cliche, you can kinda guess what happened. Kamsky, Anna's papa, went mad with the research and decided to go full William Birkin, injecting himself with the Exocels and becoming a horrifying, large, green, dried piece of broccoli. The final boss, though, it's a total joke. It seemed there were many times that I would just die over and over and over again, not knowing what the fuck I was doing wrong, until I discovered that you're supposed to damage Kamsky until he charges at you, and then you can time his swipe attack so you can dodge it. You are able to dodge his attacks pretty easily if you can time it, but most of the time he just fucking tossed me around like I was his plaything. After a few failed attempts, I had to question what I was doing wrong. Bullets don't seem to harm Kamsky, as he just charges at Tom no matter what. If he gets too close to Anna, the game kinda abruptly and hilariously ends. That's it. A screen. The goal here, obviously, is to keep him from getting to Anna while she sets the charges. This is much easier said than done, since he seems to hit me with every chance he gets despite my efforts. Once you learn the tactics from this dinosaur of a boss battle, you can kill him even with a pinch of health left. This time, Tom is saying,
I'm gonna have to get right up close and personal.
okay, I gotta let Kamsky grab me, not a problem. Oh, shit, okay, well, he just hit me. Okay, let me try again. Oh, fuck, what the fuck, he just hit me again. I died? Are you kidding me? Tom just said out loud to himself that he better get up close and personal with this thing, and I just watched him get tossed like a fucking salad. Eventually, you kill the fucking vegetable, and there's an epic cutscene that plays where Anna and Tom escape in a blaze of glory.
Hurry, get in.
Let's get out of here. It's all right. I'll take care of this.
Papa, I'm sorry.
Goodbye, Papa.
Then it kinda just ends. Oh. And no, there's no rewards or any special unlockable items from here on out. You just beat it and that's it. Way to go. I wouldn't complain since this game is old as dirt, but it does seem kinda lazy with RE4 coming out literally the same year. I'm just saying, even a New Game Plus would have been cool. I don't think it was in their best interest to add all sorts of replayability to it. The game feels very much rushed with how quickly you can get to the second segment of the game, the oil rig. Once you're there, you're literally only a stone's throw away from the ending so long as you don't get lost. I'm not not sure how the market was looking back then for video games. Maybe Ubisoft was pressuring them to hurry, which wouldn't surprise me. Or maybe they just made what they could and were proud of it, rightfully so. I'm a huge fan of Cold Fear, but I can't deny the mixed reviews that people have with it. It costs just a mere $10 on Steam, but even that price feels just a bit too high. For a game this old and not much replay value besides the storyline and gameplay, I wouldn't mark it up for higher than $5. It's not a terrible game though either. It offers a mixture of action sequences and literal bone-shattering imagery that you wouldn't expect for its time. It is very much Resident Evil 4 on a boat, but that's a compliment more than anything. Of course, there are no gun upgrades or special unlocks, but the story is decent enough to warrant a few runs. Overall, Cold Fear showed me that even an indie developer is capable of making something beautiful. Of course, it may be smudged in some areas, but this is truthfully an experience you won't forget. It's like rocking back and forth between anxiety and fear, much like the deck of a boat. It's like a loud firecracker with the gunplay and explosive imagery. And of course, it feels like a fucking good horror game. I can only hope that future games will either redeem this charm or enhance it in some form that could potentially revolve around Cold Fear's universe. New graphics, new gameplay, just awesome shit. There's currently a game that I've been wanting to touch upon for some time called Ill. I have a feeling a lot of you already know about this game due to its very, very impressive gameplay demos and teasers, but that'll have to wait for another day, as I climb up my own ladder made of sticks and stones, exploring more underrated games that I truly think deserve way more attention and time. Cold Fear is one of them, and I'll never forget the memories I had with it at a young age.
Alright, it's that time of the video where I beg and plead for you guys to like and subscribe for more content. If you're feeling dangerous, you can hit that bell too to get notifications the second we upload a video. It really helps us out, and thanks a lot for the support, guys.